All right, I got my inner divider webbing all glued up and set to go. So this is all ready. Got my sides, my bottom, my top. So now next step is to grab some Purple Heart, cut it to width and length for the end caps, and then mill them down to the correct thickness so they match all of these pieces. Okay, so I have my Purple Heart all cut out to width and length, also thickness. I made sure that they match the thickness of all this plywood here. Next step is to take them on over to the router and cut my tongue grooves in both pieces. I made these thick enough so that I can cut a cap strip off of each end here. I'll probably have about a 1-inch piece in the center, which I'll use for other projects because I don't like to waste Purple Heart. It's kind of an expensive wood. But right now, just head on over to the router table. I now have all the grooves cut into my end caps here. I cut my end caps to 3/4 inch width after the fact so that way I can make the grooves on both sides of the wider piece that you saw on the router. Makes it a little easier to handle. Cut my tongues on all of my inner pieces here. Now, I like using the single router bit, so the rabbet bit, rather than like the combination bit. It makes it a little easier because once I line up the center here, all I do is lower it down to make my cut on the bottom and the top. And the nice thing is I can lower it just a tiny bit more, make the first cut, and then move it on up, raise it up after a few test cuts to make this a perfect fit. Now the other thing I also did is that when I made the cut when I made the tongues on the inner parts, all the case parts, I went ahead and I moved my fence a 64th closer to the bit. That way it created a tongue that wasn't quite as deep as the groove is in my end caps. And that way I have a little space at the end for the glue to go and for some expansion. And I also sanded down the edges of the tongues so that way this can slide on a little bit smoother and also give the glue some place to go. So with that done, I'm just going to use my banding clamps here to put these all on, glue these all into place, get them all glued together, and then I can move on to making all my dado cuts on the sides and get this cap